Welcome to TOD, the House of Favor.
Let us pray. Father, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart, O Lord, be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord and my Redeemer. For I pray with thanksgiving in Jesus' mighty name. I welcome all of you in the name of our Lord and precious Savior, Jesus Christ. And I pray that the Lord who has brought you here this morning will let you receive the reward that pertains to you. You will run with it to profit you and your families in Jesus' mighty name. This morning I'll be speaking on a sermon I have titled, Don't Rest on Your Victory. Don't rest on your victory. You know, we all know that we have to pray to overcome our enemies. Everybody, every Christian is aware of that. The question really is, how many of us actually know that after you have won a victory, that is not the time to rest? That your prayers must continue. Because the fact that you have a victory does not mean you don't have other battles to fight. Many of us tend to rest before we are supposed to rest. Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4, from verse 1 to verse 13. There's a story of the temptation of Jesus. He was in the wilderness for 40 days. We understand that he was fasting because after he had finished that, he was hungry. And the Bible made us to understand that he was full of the Holy Ghost. Jesus Christ was in the wilderness, he was fasting, he was full of the Holy Ghost, and yet Satan came to tempt him. Satan wanted Jesus Christ to fall. Satan failed. But then, verse 13 of that scripture, the text I just gave you, tells us something that is very important. It says, and when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. If you read that in the Message Bible, it reads like this. That completed the testing. The devil retreated temporarily, lying in wait for another opportunity. Even when Jesus Christ had resisted Satan and the devil went away, the Bible told us that he went away temporarily, hoping to come back at another time for more temptations. Some of us, when we are praying and fasting, and say, Pastor, but I'm praying and fasting now. How come I'm still seeing this one? Yes, when you are praying and fasting, you are fighting a battle. There is counterattack. Sometimes the counterattack is immediate. Sometimes it's delayed. Because the enemy is waiting for a time to get you. So we can understand from that little story that one, everyone can be tempted. Everyone can be tempted. Nobody is above temptation. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. Bible says, wherefore, let him that thinketh he standeth take heed, lest he fall. Number 2, the fact that you are in a season of prayer and fasting does not mean that you will not be tempted. In fact, sometimes when you are praying and fasting, and you kneel down to pray, Satan might bring back pictures of your days before you even became a Christian. Vivid pictures that make you feel that you are so dirty. Why should God hear your prayers? Because Satan knew that you are about to get into time of prayer and fasting. So to discourage you, bring back images, bring back things. Sometimes the temptation might be physical. If there's a particular person you have been eyeing in your office, You just see that you get a memo saying that the two of you have been sent to Kano to go and do audit. So you have plenty of time. The person that you are trying to see for a few minutes, they send you away for 1 week. Satan can help them to plan it. It is just the two of you they will pick. You will think it's enjoyment. No. Satan wants to finish you. Number 3, Satan is a stubborn enemy. Even in victory, get ready for counterattacks. Sometimes the counterattacks may be delayed, but don't be careless in victory. And in the scriptures, there are many examples of this. For instance, 2 Samuel chapter 9, from verse 1 to verse 13. This is a story that many of us are aware of. The story of Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was the grandson of Saul, the son of Jonathan. One day, David said, "Is there not yet anybody left in the house of Saul that I can bless because of Jonathan, my friend?" Then they remember this particular guy. He was lame on both feet. He was cutting with somebody. They sent for him. They found out the man called Ziba. Ziba was a servant of his grandfather. They found out that Ziba had taken over everything. The Bible tells us that Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Servant has on his own 15 sons, and for his 15 sons, he had 20 servants. So he had taken over their property. David told him, "Ziba, from today, you, your sons, and your servants, you will work for this boy. When you do anything and money comes in from the estate, you send to him." Ziba said, "Yes, sir." David said, "This guy, Mephibosheth, from today, he'll be eating with my children on the same table as the king." Ziba said, "What have I done to merit such a favor?" That is the end of the story for many of us. Pastors love that story. It's a story of restoration. How God can restore to you what had been stolen from you, your family, but that is not the end of the story. That is part 1. Part 1 is where most of us stop. Part 1 is where most preachers stop. Today, I will tell you part 2. That story continued. After he had been restored, not long after that, there was a coup. There was a coup in Jerusalem. Absalom, the son of David, wanted to take over from his father. And Absalom had people who were backing him. When David saw that this boy will kill him, he ran away. David ran into the wilderness. Absalom was in control of Jerusalem. While he was in the wilderness, one day, somebody came with food, plenty of food, with animals, laden with different kinds of things. Who was that person? It was Ziba. Ziba, the servant. He went to meet David in the bush. David said, "All these things?" Say, "Yes, sir. They are for you." David said, "Where is your master?" You know his master, Mephibosheth, because he had restored. Ziba said, "He didn't come." David said, "Why?" He said, "Because the boy said, this problem that is happening in town is even good. Maybe they will restore the kingship to the house of Saul." Which means even this guy wants to become king. David said, "Mephibosheth, the boy are restored?" Say, "Yes, sir." Then David pronounced a judgment. 2 Samuel chapter 16, from verse 3 to verse 4. Let us read it in the Message Bible. Bible says, the king said, "And where is your master's grandson?" He was asking for Mephibosheth. Ziba answered, "He stayed in Jerusalem," said Ziba. He said, this is the day Israel is going to restore my grandfather's kingdom to me. Then David made a pronouncement in verse 4. Everything that belonged to Mephibosheth, said the king, is now yours. Ziba said, how can I ever thank you? I'll be forever in your debt, my master and king. May you always look on me with such kindness. Do you realize what had just happened? Everything that was given to Mephibosheth, he has just lost it. David had just reversed himself. He said, that boy I restored has joined the coup plotters against me, David. Said, from today, everything that belonged to Saul, that I gave back to that boy, I've given you. Let me tell you, many of us, when we have victory over Zibas, we celebrate for too long. You need to watch out. Zibas didn't get there by being stupid. For a servant to take over the estate of his master, he was a smart servant. Those guys are connected. They belong to secret societies. They belong to different things. They have changed things. Some of those documents have been converted. So when David gave it back to Mephibosheth, he was waiting and watching. He found the opportunity when there was problem. David felt this man was a good man. It means the man I helped couldn't come to help me in the bush. It was the servant I took things from that came. He restored everything to him. That part 2, many of you are not aware of it. I will tell you part 3. Part 3. Eventually, the coup was brought under control. Troops loyal to David, they got Absalom his son. They killed him. And David came back to Jerusalem. As he was entering Jerusalem, Mephibosheth came to greet him. David said, why didn't you come when I was in the wilderness? Said, sir, you know I'm lame. I told my servant to prepare for me to come and meet you. He deceived me and went. And came and he lied to you. Said, sir, the day they plotted that coup and you left town, from that day till now, I have not taken my bath. From that day, I have not changed my clothes. I have not cut my beard. He came to David looking haggard. Said, I'm happy that you are back. As he was talking, David made another pronouncement. Let's look at it. That was part 3. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 24. In King James, he says, and Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king and had neither dressed his feet, the guy that had it was lame on his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. In verse 29 of that same chapter, 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 29, a Message Bible, it reads like this. That's enough. As David was listening to him, he was telling David what had happened. He said, that's enough, said the king. Say no more. Here's my decision. You and Ziba divide the property between you. Under pronouncement. It was the king. King's word is the law. The king had given everything to Mephibosheth. When he found out that the Mephibosheth was supposed to be disloyal, he gave everything to Ziba. Now he has just come back and found out that he had been lied to. But he had signed a document saying, I have given Ziba. So he said, look, I have ruled. You and Ziba, go and share it. Sometimes people don't even get to get half back. Because sometimes before the man comes back, the young man could have been dead. Even David could have killed him. Because what he was telling David was that this young man wants kingship, not property. He is one of the people against you. There are many Zibas who are against us. Many of us are rejoicing, too early. Even when God has given you the victory, make sure you stay alert because the Zibas don't want to give up. That's one example. Another example, 2 Kings chapter 4, from verse 8 to verse 17. 2 Kings chapter 4, from verse 8 to verse 17. This was the story of the Shunammite woman. Rich woman, but without any child. He used to accommodate the man of God in her house. That one day, man of God had to ask, is there anything I can do for you, madam? Said, no, we don't want anything. The man of God said, there is nobody in this world who doesn't need something. They began to do research. It was through research they found out that they didn't have children. Man of God said, now I have a prayer point. He said, call the woman for me. Say, madam, if I'm a man of God, I'm telling you, when I come next year, you will come with your baby. Madam said, Oga, if it's food you want to eat, we are giving you food. Leave me alone with my problem. He said, no. I am telling you, madam, if I am a man of God, if I come next year, you will come with a baby. Next year, man of God came. She had a baby. That is part one of the story. That is the story all of us we like to hear. That is not the end of the story. There's a part two to that story. If you keep on reading the story, the Bible said, and that young boy began to grow up. And he had become a grown, maybe a young man. One day the father went to the farm. Maybe they went to where they had different things. And the young man said, daddy, my head. You know how men behave. Said, carry him to the mother. Some people have problem. We are going to take her to the mommy. So they took the young man to the mom. Bible said he put his head on her laps. After some time, he died. That child that came with prayer, Satan killed him. That was part two of the story. Then there was part three of the story. The mother refused to bury him. She carried the boy. She remembered that this house, when the man of God comes, he has a room here. He sleeps in our house. So she carried that boy and put the boy on the bed of the man of God. She said, look, get the horses ready for me. Let me go and look for Elisha. She went to go and look for Elisha. Eventually, to cut a long story short, Elisha had to come. Initially, Elisha sent Gehazi, the servant. He said, go with this woman, take my staff. When you get to the place, put the staff on the boy. The boy didn't wake up. They went back to him. Said, the boy is still dead though. He had to come and lay on the boy, which means it was serious prayer that brought him back to life. Satan will have finished that boy. Because the plan was they should not have children. And now that they have children, Satan wanted to take the boy away. That is part three. Most of us stop in part one. That the man of God just prayed and the baby came. They didn't tell you the battle didn't stop. The battle continued. Satan killed the boy. That's another example. Another one I told you last Sunday. We spoke about Brook Cherith. It was the story of the Shunammite, of the widow of Zarephath. The woman wanted to die. She said, there was no more food left from what we studied last Sunday. She said, I have this last meal. I'm going to eat it with my son, and then we will die. Man of God came. Said, don't die, madam. This is what God says. I will pray for you, there'll be increase. And he prayed for them. And we concluded last week. Bible said, and the woman, and her son, and Elijah, and they ate for many days. God bless them. That is normal place that many pastors stop. That is part one. What do I call that? Part one. That is where most of us stop. If you keep on reading, there's a part two to that story. What happened? After a few verses, you will find out that that boy That young boy that didn't die because now found food. The Bible said one day he just died. Now that the woman is alive, she's making money, they are well, she has her son, Satan came and took the boy. The man went to Elijah, said, "Oh God, I told you, I know I'm a sinner. But you said God sent you. You're staying in my house, you are eating my food, under the same roof. Enemy has come and taken the boy." Go and read what happened. Serious intercession by Elijah before the boy came back to life. Elijah was telling God, said, "God, please, how can I be in this woman's house and the enemy will take a boy away? Have mercy." He had to lay upon the boy with serious prayer before he came back to life. Some of us, as soon as the breakthrough had come, what will happen? We will begin to rejoice and forget that the battle is not over. It means that we are fighting. Don't want you to have what you have. You didn't have it before. Prayer brought it. Prayer will keep it. What did I say? Prayer brought it. Prayer will keep it. You cannot afford not to pray again, because you took it by force. The Bible says right from the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence. And the violent, they do what? They take it by force. I'll give you another example. David. David is known to all of us as the giant killer. He was a shepherd boy. It was when he killed Goliath that his story changed. He went from the bush to the palace. The man who was a shepherd boy became an in-law to the king. Eventually, he became the king himself. Because what? The Goliath that was terrorizing Israel had died. That was part one. Do you know that Goliath was not the only giant that David fought? Are you aware of that? Because the Philistines didn't give up. You know, the Philistines remind me of, I think, Sonny Liston or something like that. You know, one of these guys that was fighting with Muhammad Ali. Fraser. Ali says, "Fraser, that man, you keep on hitting him, he keeps on coming back." You know, I told them the story of when I was in secondary school. In secondary school, boys love to fight. There are some boys in secondary school, they're not very big, but they can cause a lot of trouble. When you begin to fight with them, you'll be beating them. They are crying, and they are telling you that you are going to kill me today. You are beating them, they are taking it, they are crying, but they are still fighting. Say, "I need today," say, "You will kill me." After some time, the bigger man begins to beg them, "Please, it's okay." He said, "No, it's not okay. It's not okay." I said, we will die today. Together, we will die today. After some time, the whole secondary school will know those boys. Not big, can't fight much, but they will wear you out. They will wear you out. That even though you are big, they will wear you out. That was what Fraser was to Ali. Ali said, "Look, I don't know. I keep on hitting him, keeps on coming back. He might be bloodied, he's still fighting. Bloodied, still fighting." Satan is like that. You can't kill Satan. Some of you are praying prayers. Satan died. Satan cannot die. It's not scriptural. Bible says resist him. This is a killing. You know why? Satan knows that the only time that he will be judged is at the final judgment. When he's judged, he will be in hellfire. Before then, you can't kill him. Satan knows. That was why even last week, we discussed the gathering demoniac. Jesus Christ asked the guy when he met him, "You people troubling this guy, what's your name?" He said, "Legion." Which means this guy had between 3,000 and 6,000 devils or demons inside them. But you know what they did? When Jesus Christ went towards them, they cried out, Say, Jesus, why have you come to torment us before our time? They know that the time is not now. So they now beg Jesus, leave us alone. No? Not yet time. Oh. Let us go into the swine. And as soon as they entered the swine committed suicide. They went and jumped inside the water. Can the swine swim? Swim? They can't swim. It was suicide. They said, you cannot, why have you come to torment us? It is not yet time. So if you are praying, Satan die, cannot die. It's not yet time. That was why even after they tempted Jesus Christ, Satan went away. To do what? To come back again. Many of us Christians, we wish that once we fight one battle and we have finished it, that we don't see it again. Satan will say, you have won round one. I will come again. But the good thing about it is that if you won round one, you can win round two. The fact that you are here today means that you have won many rounds. Because if Satan had his way, you would have been dead. But you need to know that the battle continues. Battle continues. So David had to face other giants. For instance, when you get to the book of 2 Samuel 21, 2 Samuel 21, verse 15 to verse 22. In verse 15, the Bible says, moreover, the Philistines yet, you know why we use the word yet? You know, like they keep on coming back for punishment. You will beat the Philistines, they will go away, they will come again. Moreover, it's like when you watch some of these films in those days, you have these cowboy films. They will go and raid the Indians. They will go away. What happens? They will come back again. They will fight again. They will keep on fighting. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel. And David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines. And David waxed faint. The first time he fought against the giants, he was young and strong. Here, he was getting old. But he went to go and fight again. Verse 16. Bible says, and Ishbibenob, which was of the sons of the giant, another giant, after they had killed Goliath, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. This was another giant. This one said, I'm going to kill David. I will finish David. He came with a new sword. The other sword, David took it and cut the head of Goliath. This is a new sword. This one said, I will finish David. And he was about to finish David. Next verse. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, succored him and smote the Philistine and killed him. Then the men of David sware unto him, saying, thou shalt go no more with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. This time around, the giant will have finished David. He had a new sword, very powerful. But then, one of the men of David saw it. One of the men of David, who had become a mighty man of valor, saw it, went after the giant, and killed the giant. And then they did something. They retired David from the army. They said to David, hey, since Commander-in-Chief, this battle is your last battle. You will not come to war again. We now are the ones to fight. You have fought. This is your last battle. Otherwise, you could have read that David killed Goliath. Next one you will have read, and one giant came and killed David. This was the man that delivered David from that giant. The last verse of that chapter reads like 2 Samuel 21:22. Reads like this. These four were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servant. Don't forget Goliath from Gath. 4 new giants from Gath. But note, this one, it was not only David that killed them. Bible said they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. The giants were still coming. They had new sword. They had reserve. They were still going after David. If not for God, it would have fallen to a giant. But God delivered David by the hands of David and by the hand of his servants. So why do you think your own battle is going to end? Automatically. These people are being teleguided demonically. They take a lot of punishment, but they come back. But the point is, if you have been able to resist them before and beat them, you can beat them again. If they are not tired of coming, you must not be tired of beating them. But you must know that the battle continues. My time is fast spent. Let me give you a few points as I begin to close. Number one, you have to understand the Christian race is not a sprint, but a marathon. The Christian race is not a sprint, but a marathon. You must prepare to go the long term. What would have happened to the son of the Shunammite woman if she did not stay connected? Because it was because she was connected. She could say, Satan, you have come again. Right here in my house, I know how I can get Elisha. And she went and got Elisha. She was still connected. What about the widow of Zarephath? When she lost her son, she was still connected. The man of God was still staying in her house. So the connection was still there. Don't lose your connection with God. On your own, you cannot make it. Stay connected. Number 2, pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17. Pray without ceasing. Number 3, you need to understand, you cannot kill Satan. Any church where you are going to and they're telling you, kill Satan, they are deceiving you. Satan is a spirit. And the Bible has told us there's a time for his judgment. Before that time, you can't kill him. You can only resist Satan. James chapter 4, verse 7 says, submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. But don't forget that he might come back. Matthew 8:29. That was the Gadarene demoniac story. They said to him, and behold, they cried out, saying, what have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before our time? Before time. They know the scriptures. But we know they will end up. Revelation chapter 20, verse 10. Revelation 20, verse 10 says, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. This is the final judgment. Before then, Satan is active. So, remember 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Number 4, this fight is a fight to finish. It's a fight to the finish. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 to 12. Ephesians 6, 10 to 12. It reads like this in the Message Bible. Ephesians 6, 10 to 12. It reads like this. And that about wraps it up. God is strong, and he wants you strong. So take everything the master has set out for you. Well-made weapons of the best materials, and put them to use, so you'll be able to stand up to everything the devil throws your way. This is no afternoon athletic contest that we'll walk away from and forget in a couple of hours. This is for keeps, a life or death fight to the finish against the devil and all his angels. These guys, they keep on fighting. You keep on beating them. The only way you can keep on beating them is that you stay connected. Number 5, we know how the battle will end. We know how the battle will end. Romans chapter 8, verse 37. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. 1 John 4, verse 4. Ye have got little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. Revelation 12, 11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Finally, do you know why you are still around? Because God has been helping you. If not for God, anyone will have taken you away. Now, I'm sure many of us are thinking, we didn't know that this battle is going to be so long. So if Christians have to fight and keep on fighting, and they have to rely on God to help them, let me help you. Peradventure, you are not born again. You don't have Jesus to help you. The type of battles we are talking about, how are you going to fight? The Zibas of this world, they are strengthening demonically, spiritually and physically. They have contacts. They will steal from you, they will slap you openly, and they will not care about it. If God does not help you, you can't fight the Zibas of this world. Then, you've been praying for a miracle. You are getting your miracle. The prayer that brought the miracle must sustain the miracle. Why you didn't have the miracle before was because somebody was resisting you, or some forces were resisting you. If you have now with prayer been able to get those things, the only way you can sustain it is by, that is why some blessings don't come to us until God has ensured that that problem has taught us how to pray. You know, some problems teach you how to pray. Hi, are you here? Some problems come your way, and they teach you how to pray. They teach you how to fight. God is helping you, because you will now need those prayers, those fasting, what you have strengthened yourself to be able to keep other things. Oh, you know how I came to Redeem? Problem brought me here. When my business collapsed, and I was owing money, I went to look for prayer. Because the way I was brought up, I knew I would not go to the witch doctor. It is not in my psyche. I don't even think about it. So if I cannot go to the witch doctor, I must get myself. I said to myself, this one, no. I went to my pastor, Baptist church. Said, Pastor, I want to become pastor. Said, what do you mean? I said, I want to go to seminary. Because this prayer needs, it's not this problem, this is a serious prayer. The pastor was very happy. He has a PhD in theology. Dr. Orinde said, I like it when young men like you want to become pastors. He said, but you know, our seminary is in Ogbomoso, and you have to be there for about 3 or 4 years. So with my problems, I will leave Lagos to go to Ogbomoso. It was in my search for Bible school that I found one in Redeem. That's why I'm a pastor today. My problem made me a prayer warrior. Some of you, the problems will drive you to God, and then that will help you for other things. Because without that, Satan will just finish you. Without that, you can't fight Satan. Satan is not a small angel. Satan was an archangel. There were 3 of them. You had Satan, Lucifer. You had Michael, this archangel of warfare. You had Gabriel, the one of information. Lucifer was in charge of music, praise and worship. They were the 3. On your own, you can't. You can't. When Moses died, Satan was going to take the body of Moses. Michael was going to contend with Satan. Even Michael didn't abuse Satan anyhow. He was saying that it is the Lord that will rebuke you. Some of you that you just wake up, you didn't do your homework. You can't kill Satan. You can only resist Satan. But there's God who has defeated him, conquered him, and made an open show of Satan, triumphing over him in victory. That is the victory that you are going to claim. But if you don't have God to help you, to fight for you, you can't make it. So if you're here this morning, all eyes closed, our time is fast spent.
Welcome to TOD, the House of Favor.